Greetings from Kardec Radio, where we are bringing listeners another audiobook. This one entitled Who is Afraid of Death, written by Richard Simonetti. This 14th installment covers Chapter 26, entitled Flowers for the Dead, and Chapter 27, entitled Cremation. Enjoy. Chapter 26, Flowers for the Dead. If we intend to cultivate the memory of dear family members transferred to the spiritual world, let us choose the ideal place, our home. Let us use many flowers to decorate life in the comfort of our homes, never to praise death in the coldness of a cemetery. They will invariably prefer to receive our message of affection through the post office of longing with no mournful stamp. It is good to miss someone. It means that there is love in our hearts, the supreme feeling that lends meaning and purpose to our existence. When we truly love someone with a pure and unselfish feeling, exemplified best in the love of mothers, we feel strong and resolute, willing to face the world. Maybe God has invented the illusion of death for us to overcome the age-old tendency of restricting love to selfish, closed family circles, teaching us how to nurture it as a whole, struggling for fraternity, working for the benefit of our mates, which leads us into nobler achievements. Let us not permit, therefore, that the longing for somebody be transformed into a reason for anguish and oppression. Let us use the filters of trust and faith, making it tender through the understanding that the loving bonds do not end at the grave. Love, the essence of life, spreads without limits to the infinite dwellings, a subtle bridge that sustains enduringly the communion between heaven and earth. Thus, there are two reasons for us not to nurture sadness. We miss somebody. We are not dead. Our beloved ones are not dead. They miss us. And if we are able to pray, contrite and serene, these moments of evocation will moisten the flowers of absence with the blessing of hope. We will then be able to feel their presence among us, tenderly enveloping our hearts with the perfumes of joy and peace. Chapter 27, Cremation. The fear of being buried alive makes many people talk about being cremated. The corpse is incinerated, thus avoiding the problem. But there is one doubt, which is a very frequent question in our lectures about death. What will happen if during the cremation I'm still attached to the body? In these circumstances, I usually say, well, inside the oven the temperature reaches 1,400 degrees Celsius. If you take into consideration the fact that the water boils at 100 degrees, we can imagine what that is. It gets so hot that the corpse itself starts a combustion process. Then, among the flames, if the dead person is influenced by medieval theological beliefs, he will imagine, "My God, I'm in hell." Of course, this is just a joke to cheer up the listeners in the face of such a mournful subject. Any enlightened person from any religion knows that the hell of fire, where the souls burn in eternal torments without being destroyed, is a fantasy created in remote times, when religious beliefs were imposed more through fear than through logic. Today we know that heaven and hell are not geographical places. They exist inside each one of us as a result of our actions. Objectively speaking, we could answer the question by saying that if the spirit is attached to the body, we will not go through pains, because the corpse cannot transmit any sensation to the spirit. But obviously he will experience very unpleasant impressions. Besides the trauma of a violent and impromptu disconnection, it is a good opportunity to highlight some considerations by Emmanuel in the book The Consoler, written through Francisco Candido Xavier. During cremation, it is mandatory to be merciful with the corpse, postponing the act of destruction of the flesh for a longer time, since in a certain way there are always many echoes of sensitivity between the disincarnated spirit and the body, in which the vital tone has been extinguished. During the first hours that follow the disconnection, the organic fluids still imprison the soul in the feelings of the material existence. Francisco Candido, in an interview for television in 1971, transmits new information coming from Emmanuel, which is part of the book Chico Xavier, From Hippies to the Problems of the World, Chapter 18. At least 72 hours should elapse before cremation. As it seems, this time is enough for the disconnection to take place, except in cases of deaths involving suicide or people too bonded to addictions and human interests. In the crematory ovens in Sao Paulo, there is a legal waiting period of 24 hours. Nevertheless, the regulations allow the corpse to be kept in the refrigerated chamber as long as the family wishes. Spiritists usually ask for 3 days. Some people ask for 7 days. It is important to realize, however, that more important than all these precautions is to live a balanced life, marked by the effort for self-renewal and the practice of good deeds, so that, under any circumstance of our death, we will be freed promptly, with no traumas and no worries about the destiny of our body.